Okay, so now we're going to talk about inequalities. So this is like the third half of the unit. Um, so these last couple sections are all going to be about inequalities. So first, let's just remind ourselves about inequalities, starting with this one on the left here, okay? So inside the inequality symbol, I want you to write some words that represent it. So this means is less than. So this could mean less than. I would write tiny because we're going to have a bunch here. Less than, under, or below. Okay, this says under. I did a terrible job writing there. Hold on. This says under. Okay, so under. Hopefully that's a little more clear. Smaller than. So we can write it going this way. Smaller than. Fewer than is another one. And since I've run out of room, I'm going to start writing on top, beneath, or a better deal. So all of these mean less than. And now this is the part that we can make it fun if you want. We can make this into a Pac-Man. And boop, 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 boop. So if you want to go get some colored pencils and stuff, you can make him into a little Pac-Man. And that this is his mouth. And that he's eating the blue glowing orb here. Now let's talk about this blue glowing orb, right? We're not going to fill it in. So when you're graphing inequalities, you put a dot over the number, and it's either an open circle or a closed circle. Our circle for less than should be open. So I'm going to want to write open there, so that way I know it's an open circle. We also need to draw what way the arrow goes. So less than tells me that, again, when I'm graphing, I need to show what way the arrow goes. The arrow points whatever way the inequality is going. So my arrow is a left arrow, and now it looks like I'm eating that. So just in case you want to write that, I might write left arrow. Okay, so my arrow points to the left. Okay, so anytime you see less than, under, below, smaller than, fewer than, beneath, a better deal, all of that means that it's a smaller quantity. So that way my arrow should be going to the left. I should have an open circle when I'm graphing. So you may be thinking, do we really need to make the Pac-Man thing? No, it's just supposed to be something fun. If you want to go back and decorate them at the end, make them into like a dinosaur or a frog or all Pac-Man, whatever you want. Okay. That's probably going to be the only one I decorate, but it's supposed to be, a fun thing to kind of connect you to this. So, all right, let's keep on going. So the one on the right here is greater than. This is greater than. It's greater than. It's also more than. It could be above. Exceeds. So that's a weird one. Exceeds, right? That means bigger. Longer than. Higher than. Or increased. increased by. So those are all words that mean greater than. And just like before, greater than is an open circle. So it's an open circle. Now this time, my arrow points to the right. So it's a right arrow. So it's a right arrow for that one. Okay, so I want you to look at these two inequality signs down below. Think about what's really the difference from this one to this one. I hope you're thinking the only thing different is this bar down here, right? This bar down here. That bar does represent something. So that means it's less than or equal to. That's an equal to bar. So it's less than or equal to. So let's write that in. Less than or equal. And it's really a lot of the same words. Less than or equal to. It could be maximum. So the maximum amount. The bottom amount. Another easy one to forget which way it goes is at most. And that's less than or equal to, or no more than. So no more than. Okay, the other difference here is that we're gonna, since it's equal to, then it's going to be a closed circle. So I'm going to color that circle in. So it's a closed circle. So that's important. It's a closed circle. But my arrow still goes the same way. It's still a left arrow. Okay, so still a left arrow. However, it's a closed circle. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. This one is greater than or equal to. So it's greater than or equal to. Okay, it's also at least. At least. At least some amount. A minimum amount. A top amount. Or lastly is no less than. I think you could guess because this is also equal to that we're going to have a closed circle. Okay, so this is a closed circle. And because it's a greater than, my arrow is going to the right. So it's a right arrow. All of this will make a little bit more sense when we're looking at the next part. So once you're finished copying all of those, let me zoom out for a second. If you need to copy those, pause the video now and get them down. Okay. But beyond that, I'm going to the next one. Okay. Okay, so this is where the graphing part comes in. So my instructions are just to graph that inequality. Okay, so before I even do that, I have to number my number line. I generally start with putting a 0 in the middle and going from there. So this is 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter where you put the 0, if 0 is in there at all. The important part about graphing is that my variable needs to come first. So that's the really only important part, that my variable needs to be first. So I would write that somewhere. Otherwise, using the inequality monsters or the Pac-Man isn't really going to work, okay? So your variable needs to be first. So this inequality symbol, think about what is that inequality symbol? Which one is it facing, or which Pac-Man does it represent? Okay, so to me, that says that it's a greater than. So is it greater than, or is it greater than or equal to? It's just greater than, okay, because there's no line underneath. So then I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, is that an open or a closed circle? So I know it's an open circle. So I'm going to put an open circle over the number 2, since its t is greater than 2. Now, what way does my arrow go? So if you don't remember, you can always just draw a line here. Okay, so that tells me that my arrow is a right-facing arrow. And that's all you need to do to graph the inequality. Okay, I'm going to skip number 2, and I'm going to go to number 3. What's a little different about number 3? Well, my variable is not first, so I need to rewrite this whole thing. So I want my variable to be first, so I want my variable on the left side. So since I flipped where the p is, I also need to flip where the -1 is. And I also need to flip my inequality symbol. So in order to get my variable first, I need to flip everything in that inequality. Okay, so now I'm going to number my number line. Again, I put 0 pretty much in the middle. 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. When you get to bigger numbers, obviously that's not going to work. So you can go by 2s, you can go by 5s, whatever increments you need to do, right? I'm looking at this inequality symbol. It's an equal to, so I know it's a closed circle. It's a closed circle over -1, so it's a filled in circle. Then I'm thinking, what way does that arrow face? It faces this way. So my arrow should be facing this way. Okay, so it should be a left-facing arrow. I also know that because it's a less than symbol. So I want you to try example 2 and 4 on your own. Okay, so this is greater than or equal to for number 2. So I have a closed circle going to the right over -10. You may notice I went by increments of 5. Or you could have moved your 0 over here and gone by 2s, or however you really could think about it, okay? Number 4, our variable wasn't first, so we needed to flip. So that's an important part. We needed to flip our inequality first, okay? So then that made it x is less than -7. So there's no really easy way or increments to get -7 on here. So I did it in increments of 2. And then I know that -7's in the middle. Okay. So then it's an open circle because it's just less than, and it's going to the left. All right, so let's keep on going. So now we have these couple of problems here. You need to change these into an inequality. So the first thing we figure out is this says is less than. So is less than, I'm going to think about what inequality symbol that is. If you don't know, use your Pac-Man people. My less than symbol is facing to the right. Okay. My 19 years, so that's going to be what is less than. And then it says my age, so I'm just going to use A is less than 19. Okay, so let's do that again. So figure out what keyword is here. So my speed must be at least 60 miles per hour. So at least tells me when I'm looking that it's got to be a greater than or equal to symbol. And it's greater than or equal to 60. And that's my speed. Okay, so I want you to do 7, 8, and 9 on your own. Try 7, 8, and 9 on your own for me. Okay, so you should get W exceeds 12, I above 36, and S is at most 14. Okay, so just be really careful. I would say for the first couple of days, use your inequality people. They are going to be your best friend. Use them, okay? You can use them for everything but knowledge checks, so please use them until you get completely comfortable with all the words and the phrases and the arrows and stuff, okay?